Hey everyone, today we're going to read some scripture and find out what it tells us about the Messianic age. Shalom everybody, and welcome to Beit Tefillah. I want to start off today by saying that I'm not particularly fond of the word Messiah or Messianic. I'd rather use the Hebrew Mashiach because Messiah comes from the Latin and the Greek Messias, and I'd rather use Hebrew when at all possible. Now the word Mashiach means anointed, as I'm sure most of you know, as so does Messiah. And please understand that Mashiach or Messiah never ever meant Savior. Okay, Mashiach is anointed in the purpose of serving Elohim. Who's listed as Mashiach in Tanakh? Well, some kings are, like King Shaul and King David, and also King Cyrus, who was a Gentile king and didn't know Elohim at all, but was called a Mashiach by Elohim because he was appointed by Elohim to be in service to him or for a specific purpose. High priests and even Elohim's people are called Mashiach in Tanakh, just to be clear. But for the sake of this video and familiarity, I'm going to use Messianic and Messiah today. Okay, I just wanted to make that clear. I'm going to give you a little scenario. Say somebody came over to your house because they said they were going to be your house painter. Your house needed painting, all right? So this guy comes over and he's talking a good game and he's got all these throngs of people, crowds of people coming around because he's putting on some magic shows and he's talking all this good game about how he's the greatest painter ever. But then he said, he can't do it now. He's going to leave and return a second time, but not to worry, because not all of you will taste death before you see him coming in his paint truck carrying his buckets and his rollers and everything. But meanwhile, 2,000 years passed, so obviously everybody died eons ago. No one there saw him return. And the house is completely disintegrated and fell apart, and there's no sign of it that remains. It's just gone. It's dust. Okay? So was that guy your house painter? No. He obviously wasn't. He merely made a bunch of promises that he didn't keep, and he may have talked a real good game, but he honestly didn't accomplish anything. So, the Tanakh is very clear about what the earth will be like during the Messianic age. Nowhere in Tanakh does Elohim ever tell us about any kind of Messiah's second coming. He doesn't tell us about this New Testament Messiah's first coming either, let alone a second coming. The world will go on until Elohim stops it. Then his people will inherit the earth, and then we will be in the Messianic age. So let's read a few of these verses and hear what the earth will be like during that time, taking note that the earth is obviously not like this now, nor did any of this happen 2,000 years ago or any other time in man's history since the fall of man of the first sin in the garden. Okay? Isaiah 2:2-4. And it shall be in the latter days that the mountain of the house of Yahuwah is established on top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills. And all nations shall flow to it. And many people shall come and say, Come, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, to the house of Elohim of Yaakov, and let him teach us his ways, and let us walk in his paths. For out of Zion comes forth the Torah and the word of Yahuwah from Yerushalayim. And he shall judge between the nations, and shall reprove many people. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither teach battle any more. And that passage mirrors one in Micah 4:3. And he shall judge among many people, and reprove strong nations far off. They shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither teach battle any longer. So let's look at what's going on in the world today. There's war everywhere. It's all you hear about is this country was bombed and this country put off some missiles, and there's just always so much chaos going on. There's new weapons that are real scary that are being invented and constructed and used against different nations. And there's no peace, but there's constant threat. You can read about some kind of battle going on somewhere in the world every single day. Ever since the 1970s, one of the most common segments on the news at night is Crisis in the Middle East. There's always some kind of strife going on over there somewhere. It just never ends. Now let's read another example of the Messianic age in Isaiah 11, 6-9. And a wolf shall dwell with the lamb, and a leopard lie down with the young goat, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child will lead them. And a cow and a bear shall feed, their young ones lie down together. A lion eats straw like an ox. And the nursing child shall play by the cobra's hole, and the weaned child shall put his hand in the adder's den. They do no evil, nor destroy in all my set-apart mountain, for the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of Yahuwah as the water covers the sea. We're going to talk about that in a minute, so hang on to that, okay? You know, Messianics, they like to talk about this new covenant that they're under with the New Testament or Brit Hadashah, with this Messiah or Jesus or Yeshua, okay? But what did Elohim say the new covenant would look like exactly? Let's hear the description of it according to Elohim in Jeremiah 31, 31-34. Let's note the lack of any reference to a Messiah figure, especially for sin forgiveness when we hear this, okay? See, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, when I shall make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehudah, not like the covenant I made with the fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Mitzrayim, my covenant which they broke, though I was a husband to them, declares Yahuwah. For this is the covenant I shall make with the house of Israel after those days, declares Yahuwah. I will put my Torah in their inward parts and write it on their hearts. And I shall be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And no longer shall they teach, each one his neighbor and each one his brother, saying, Know Yahuwah, for they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them, declares Yahuwah. For I forgive their crookedness and remember their sin no more. Well, none of that has happened yet. So what does that mean? It means that we are not in the Messianic age, nor have we been presented with a new covenant. So I don't know what this is, what all these Messianics are talking about, but that's not of Elohim. People need to realize that. That should be blatantly obvious. You know, there's also a couple verses I'd like to go over real quick in the New Testament, starting with Matthew 10:23. For truly I say to you, you shall by no means have gone through the cities of Yisrael before the Son of Adam comes. Obviously, talking about a second coming again. Let me put a graphic on the screen. Here's an outline of the United States, and that little blue speck in the middle of it represents the size of Israel as we know it today, just for size comparison. Now, we realize that the borders were larger long ago, but the Israel of today would actually fit inside Lake Michigan. Yet this Messiah says that you shall by no means have gone through all the cities of Israel before the Son of Adam comes. If you were a snail in 2,000 years, you could have gone through all the cities of Israel. But it didn't just stop there. And what do I mean by that? Well, from a 2011 report from the Pew Research Center, it states, and I quote, a comprehensive demographic study of more than 200 countries finds that there are 2.18 billion, with a B, Christians of all ages around the world, representing nearly a third of the estimated 2010 global population of 6.9 billion. End quote. Almost 7 billion people on the earth by 2010, many more now, and a third of them were Christian. So not only, obviously, did the whole state of Israel hear about this Messiah, but a third, if not more, than all the people living on the planet in 200 different countries did. So we can assume that this Messiah is a no-show for a second coming. Because he told them, oh, you know, you're not going to have time to go through all of Israel before I come back. Really? Well, he went through all of Israel, and over a third of the planet believes in him. So what does that tell you? But was it supposedly really going to take that long for him to show up anyway? What did he say about that? Matthew 16:28. Truly I say to you, there are some standing here who shall not taste death at all until they see the Son of Adam coming in his reign. Obviously, the second coming once again. Since I don't recall hearing on the news coming out of Israel, anyone that is celebrating their birthday with 2,000 candles on their cake, I'd say that's a miserable fail as well. Okay? 2,000 years ago, and he said, some of you will not taste death until they see the Son of Adam coming in his reign. Everybody back then been dead for probably well over 1,900 some years. I'm going to reiterate one more time that nowhere in all of Tanakh is there any prophecy of a second coming of Messiah. According to this New Testament, he supposedly dies, Then he rises and says, I'll do the rest of it later. So what is he, some kind of messianic procrastinator? Rising in the heavens, did he say, I'll be back? When Elohim says time's up and he regathers his people from around the earth, then we will be in the Messianic age. But the point is, Elohim said he will come and recover his people. And many verses in Tanakh attest to this. And I'm going to read a few of them. Deuteronomy 30, 1 through 4. And it shall be, when all these words come upon you, the blessing and the curse which I have set before you, and you shall bring them back to your heart among all the Gentiles where Yahuwah your Elohim drives you, and shall turn back to Yahuwah your Elohim and obey his voice according to all that I command you today, with all your heart and with all your being, you and your children. Then Yahuwah your Elohim shall turn back your captivity, shall have compassion on you, and he shall turn back and gather you from all the people where Yahuwah your Elohim has scattered you. If any of you are driven out to the furthest parts under the heavens, from there Yahuwah your Elohim does gather you, and from there he does take you. Doesn't say anywhere in there that, oh, he's going to send a Messiah to come and pick you all up. That's not what he said. Yahuwah your Elohim does gather you, and from there he does take you. Micah 2:12. I shall certainly gather all of you, O Jacob. I shall bring together the remnant of Yisrael, put them together like the sheep of the fold, like a flock in the midst of their pasture, they being noisy because of all men. Isaiah 11:11. And it shall be in that day that Yahuwah sets his hand again a second time to recover the remnant of his people who are left from Ashur, from Mitzrayim, from Pathros, and from Cush, from Elam, and from Shinar, Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. See, the New Testament wants you to believe that this Messiah is going to come a second time. Not the Messiah, it's Elohim, and we were just told that. First time Elohim gathers his people, pulls them out of Egypt because they were all there as one group and in bondage and in slavery. And he came and rescued them. After that, they were scattered all around the earth, just like he told Abraham when he said, your seed will be all around the earth. And it says Elohim will come a second time to recover everybody, just like we were told in Deuteronomy 30 that we just read. If any of you are driven out to the furthest parts under the heavens, from there Yahuwah your Elohim does gather you. It doesn't say if any of you are driven out to the furthest parts of the edge of Israel. No, this is all around the whole earth where he's going to come and gather his people. Okay? Let's read one more about Elohim gathering the people himself. Jeremiah 23:3. Therefore I shall gather the remnant of my flock out of all the lands where I have driven them, and shall bring them back to their fold, and they shall bear and increase. So all of these Messianics that are waiting for the return of this New Testament Messiah are waiting on an idol instead of waiting on Elohim to deliver them. But Elohim's not going to deliver them. And why not? Because they're in idolatry. They're not thinking scripturally, they're not thinking logically, but they are thinking like those in churchianity that think they just need to believe in something. So tell me something. We're told in Deuteronomy 6:25 that obeying Elohim's commands is what gives us righteousness. It's our obedience. It's our action. So what does believing in a Messiah get you? Is it when you wish upon a star or something? Is that what it's like? Think about it. If Yeshua's job was to be a Messiah, he was a complete and utter failure. That's going to upset some people, but you know what? It is what it is when we compare it to Elohim's word. What did he accomplish? Nothing. The New Testament is essentially a compilation of stories and letters about some fictional character that accomplished absolutely nothing. To qualify as a Messiah, this New Testament Messiah would have had to usher in the Messianic age. He did nothing of the sort, and here we are 2,000 years later, and still people look to this guy as a Messiah. You know, we still have war all around the earth. People still need to teach Elohim's name. Almost nobody knows it. Go ask Christians. Say to them, hey, what's God's name? Most are going to tell you, God, the Lord. They're clueless. They don't know. Almost nobody knows it. The true word of Elohim, or his Torah, does not cover the whole earth as water covers the sea. Most people reject it. Billions of Christians do. They say, I was done away with on the cross. Does the wolf lay down with the lamb? Does a lion eat straw like an ox? Can a child play near a cobra's hole in safety? No, not yet. The Torah is not written on the hearts of everyone on the planet. Written on your heart is a Hebrew idiom, means that you will love it and you will do it. Not like some Christians when they make an excuse and say, oh no, well, we don't have that anymore. It's written on our hearts now. We don't have to do it anymore. Well, that's not what it is. Written on your hearts, you can forget about it. We wait for these promises. We wait for our Elohim, and we serve no other. We are not there yet. We are not in the Messianic age yet. Elohim has not called. Time's up yet. Psalm 37:34. Wait on Yahuwah and guard his way, and he shall exalt you to inherit the earth. Well, I hope this video blessed you. Shout out to all of those who are Yisrael and in covenant scattered worldwide in the dispersion. Everybody be blessed and have a wonderful day.